Live from the garbage room, it's the Pure Garbage Podcast, NBA edition with Lex and Mr. Smiles.
NBA. All right, Mr. Smiles, in this edition of our NBA show, my friend, my Oakland Raider compatriot.
Yes.
We have Lowry, Raptors. Let's start off with Toronto.
Well, the Raptors, obviously best record in the NBA still right now, but over the last few games, they've been really, really struggling. The problem with the team, straight up, is just Kyle Lowry's playing like crap.
Doo-doo.
He's made 4 shots in the last 4 games he's played, which is, you're the number 2 guy, you're a 4-time All-Star, and it's just completely unacceptable for your number 2 guy to be playing this bad.
You hating on Lowry now?
Well, in the last podcast, I said he was the Raptors MVP, and I feel so bad about saying that.
You're jumping ship.
No, I'm not jumping ship, but we're kind of stuck with him because he makes too much money to trade.
Man overboard!
So he's got to step it up. But I don't even know. But one of the things, like last week, the ESPN was in town, right? They did a whole Toronto Day, Raptors Day.
Yeah.
They sent all the big boys down, right?
Yeah.
He's talking about like he's just an employee for the Raptors. He's not like, and in sports, you got to be part of the team. Like it's a team, quote unquote, family, all that kind of stuff. But now he goes, "What's your relationship with Masai Ujiri?"
Yes.
And he's like, he's the general manager. I'm a player.
Yeah, he's feeling it still. The trade.
It's the whole trade is still. He's still in his feelings about it, right?
They're on fire, and he's worried about himself.
Oh my God! But Lowry it's just the way he's playing. He's like he's scared to shoot. And one thing about Lowry though, he's a bulldog. He's a go-getter. He's a yeller. He's a screamer. He's a aggressive player, and he's actually turning down shots now, which in the 7 years he's been a Raptor, I've never seen him do that. So it's kind of concerning right now.
Well, I think they're overplaying him anyway. Too much responsibility or too much put on his shoulders.
Is Kawhi Leonard actually maybe putting pressure on him because this team is legit a championship contender, and he has to show because Leonard's going to show up every night. He's going to play playing, and as every week you can see throughout the year, Kawhi's getting better.
Pressure? Do you mean like to play at a certain standard? I just think they're overplaying Lowry. Like correct me if I'm wrong here, he's played like 5 years constantly.
Yeah, he's
like, when's he get a break, man?
And I think I mentioned this the last podcast as well. They got to start giving him the date. The same way they're resting Kawhi on back-to-back games, they got to start doing it for Leonard.
I agree.
I mean, they got to start doing it for Lowry as well.
Yeah.
Regular season wins are good. Having a great record's good. Getting cohesiveness is good. But we need you healthy and actually not scared to shoot in the playoffs. So.
I hear you. So let's go now to Luka.
Yeah, well, it's Luka Mania going on right now. It's this guy, and you know one thing about European players when they come over to the NBA, they don't usually have this kind of swag. But Luka,
as soon as you say European players, you know Chowder gets his back up.
Yeah, but Luka's got that. He's got a little bit of swagger with him, and he actually thinks every time he thinks he's the best player on the floor, and he's a rookie, and it comes from his EuroLeague experience. Like he was at 19, 20 years old, he was the best player in Europe. He was dominating. His team was winning.
I hear the chuckles already, though. Some people would say European ball is not the same quality or caliber.
It isn't the same quality. I'm the first.
Like the D-League is better.
It's kind of. I personally think the D-League is better than European basketball, but that's just me being a North American bias. But Luka is breaking all the stereotypes because this kid, he's so cocky with it. He's going at dudes. He's going at, like the other day, he was going at Harden.
Yeah.
He's going at everybody. And the Mavs are actually winning games. The Mavs are picked to be one of the worst teams in the NBA this year.
Dallas.
And they're right in the middle of the playoff race. So, and it's all because of Luka and his swagger. And I just love watching this kid play.
Boston Celtics. What's going on with those chokers now standing up?
Well, actually, they've stepped it up over the last couple of weeks. And the best thing happened to them. They had a couple of injuries, so they were forced to switch up their starting lineup. And now instead of having basically 5 guys who need the ball in the starting lineup, they put a couple role players in. They put Morris in the starting lineup. They put Marcus Smart in the starting lineup. And now the team is actually more balanced and the roles are more established. You don't have a starting lineup with 5 guys who need the ball. And those guys who are coming off the bench now, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, actually playing better. So it was a blessing in disguise for the Celtics that they had a couple injuries. They had to switch up their starting lineup, and now things seem to be clicking a lot more. So the Celtics now coming into the season, they were the favorite to win the East.
Do they slide again before we put them as favorites to win the East? Because they're not.
Well, I still think the Raptors are going to win the East if Lowry gets his stuff together. But,
he will.
But the Celtics are looking mighty dangerous right now. So.
Yes, my man, the Wizards.
Yeah, Washington Wizards, one of the biggest disappointing teams of the year so far. They've kind of, and the one thing about the Wizards, they're one of the cockiest teams in the NBA. Like John Wall and Bradley Beal literally think they're the best backcourt in the NBA, and they're talented. Don't get me wrong. Like John Wall is a super talent. He's number one pick overall, number one pick overall. He's super talented. He's one of my personal favorite players. Fun guy to watch, but he's actually a party dude, and one of those things where he's
party dude.
He straight up tells the media, hey man, I play basketball and then I go out and enjoy my life, right? And he's one of those dudes. And the off the court stuff, the partying, the hanging out is actually affecting his play on the court.
Oh, now if you're Wall, would you be saying that though? Maybe it's the system. Maybe it's the coach.
But he just signed this massive extension. Look at it this way. Over the next 4 years, after the season, so starting in 1920, he's going to make $38 million.
What?
And then the season after that, he's going to make $41 million.
Are you kidding me?
Then the next season, he's going to make $44 million.
Outrageous.
And then the season after that, he's going to make $47 million. That's what he's making over the next 4 years after this year. So he's the I don't give a. No matter what you say to me, no matter what you do to me, I'm still going to be making these massive amounts of money. So, and that contract basically makes him untradeable. So that leaves...
Oh, my headache. If you're the owner and this guy's out there on a Saturday night doing the 2-shoe boogie and you just handed over a bag of money, man,
dude, this guy,
that's terrifying.
He's living the dream. He's a supermax player. So that means Bradley Beal is going to be the odd man. And not even an odd man. He's an all-star player. He's a great player. He makes a lot of money too, but nothing even close to what Wall makes. And he's their only trade asset. So eventually, they're going to have to break this thing up because Wall can't be moved and Bradley Beal is going to be the man on the way out.
Pelicans.
Anthony Davis.
New Orleans.
Incredible player. Unstoppable. Once in a lifetime player. Long, athletic. This dude is just a joy to watch. New Orleans isn't a basketball city, and if you ever watch the Pelicans on TV, like you can see the empty seats, and it's kind of like an embarrassment. You have literally one of the greatest players ever. Like he doesn't have the playoff success to call him ever, but talent wise, he's one of the greatest players ever. And the seats are empty and they can't draw, and it's like how you have a half full arena with Anthony Davis in your city, right? So
maybe it's the location of the stadium. No,
man, because it's right in the mix.
Maybe it's the price.
They honestly got.
Maybe there's a depression down there and no one's working.
It's just a football city. It's the South, right? It's just football and basketball.
Louisiana.
It's never been big down there, and he's just got to get himself out of New Orleans because he's too great of a player to be wasting his prime years in New Orleans.
You know who's a Pelican fan? Who when I met him was in his Pelican hoodie. Manny Fresh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he's from down there. Right?
That's right.
Yeah, he's a local. So yeah, definitely.
But he can afford the tickets. All right, let's move over to Houston. Houston.
Well, Houston Rockets. Well, Houston, we have a problem because your team is struggling.
What?
And Chris Paul, he's one of those guys who's been pretty brittle over the years. He has a reputation of being injury prone. When he plays, he's great. But he's going to miss 15 games a year, 20 games a year. In years past, like last year, he missed a good chunk of the year, and they still had the best record in the NBA last year. But this year, they're already off to a rough start, and he's missing games on top of that. The West is so competitive this year that if they don't get their act together pretty soon, they could be in risk of missing the playoffs. And how can you go from having the best record in the NBA to potentially missing the playoffs the next year?
Oh, wow.
So Harden's still killing it. He's playing great. Capella in the middle is looking nice. But Chris Paul's got to get back, and they got to pretty much get their act together.
Yeah, Houston was picked to shake it out and be one of the top 4 contenders, no?
Yeah, they were. Everyone said that they should have beat the Warriors last year. And like again, if Chris Paul wouldn't have pulled his hamstring in the playoffs in that series against the Golden State Warriors, honestly, I thought they could have beat them. But that's the thing about Chris Paul. You can't rely on his health. He's an older point guard. Yeah. Same way Lowry's an older point guard. And eventually...
You got to rest him.
You got to rest him. And eventually your body's going to break down on you. So
again, tune in for more NBA. Mr. Smiles will be with me all season long as we take this thing all the way to the ship.
Thank you for listening to the Pure Garbage Podcast. To find us, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or Stitcher.